welcome to another edition of From the Source. Today, I have the pleasure of interviewing the illustrious mayor of the Village of Lake Success, the Honorable Adam C. Hoffman. The Village of Lake Success was incorporated in December 1927. Lake Success Village covers about 2 square miles. Lake Success contains 1,195 acres of land, of which 43 acres are lakes. The largest of the 3 lakes is Lake Success. Mayor Hoffman has been in office since 2016. Here to share what's happening in the Village of Lake Success is Adam Hoffman. Thank you for coming on the show. It's good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
So I'd love for you to tell our viewership a little bit about your background and how long you've lived in Lake Success, and how did you get to be mayor?
So in 1994, we moved into Lake Success, and how we found Lake Success was we lived in the city, before we had children, and actually moved into Lake Success when I didn't have children yet, and we'd moved out to Old Westbury, and my wife was going to switch jobs, and it never quite worked out that way, and she was commuting back from Hicksville to the city, so that didn't go over very well. So we basically found a middle ground, and I'm a big golfer, still am a big golfer, and I said, hi, there's a golf course here, how do we get to play here, and how does this work? And so we went into the grill room, and the man at the time said, oh, there's a waiting list from here to the lake, but if you buy a house, you're right in. I said, well, here's where we're going to live. Wow. And so in 1994, we found a house, and we moved in then, and we've been living there ever since. And I first volunteered for we have a camp, there's a preschool, now it's till 7 or 8-year-olds. There's a camp that the village runs. The residents organize the camp. It has nothing to do with the village, but they run the camp. We give them facilities at the pool. Oh, wow. And
that's great.
And so I started to get involved with the camp when my children were of camp age, and I was the first male camp board member. And I still actually do help them. I still do all their payrolls. I do their tax returns for them. I help them run the camp still. And then from there, someone said, hey, why don't you try to become a trustee? And I didn't understand exactly what it was. I went to some meetings. And at 42 years old, I was the youngest trustee elected in like a landslide, basically. I know a lot of people. I'd met a lot of people through golf and the pool and the camp. And I got elected as the youngest trustee at that time, 42 years old.
Congratulations.
And then at that point, I was in charge of the park commission for a couple years. Then I ran the golf course for 10 years. Okay. And somewhere along the line, Ron Cooper, our previous mayor, said to me, and I'd done the budget since I'm a CPA. Okay. That's my real job.
That's your real job?
That's what I do every day, go to work, is my real job. And so as a CPA, I did the village budget also. I was in charge of the budget. So I'd done a number of different things, and Ron Cooper, our previous mayor, came to me and said, you're going to be the next mayor. I said, well, I can't really do that right now. My kids are still, around in school. He goes, well, I said I made a deal with him. When my last son goes to college, I would become the mayor. So he kept track of my younger son. The day he went off to college, he says, you're going to be mayor now. So it's still an election, obviously. Right. But it's a thankless job, so I think I was the only one who wanted it. And so I was elected the mayor, and I've been doing that for 4 years now. Okay. But it sounds like you've done so much while you got to that point. I have a well-rounded background in the village from all the different things I've ran that, I sort of was ready for that job. So. Well,
see, it seems to me like Lake Success is nirvana, okay? Out of all of the villages, it has its own club, it has its golf course, it has tennis, it has swimming, and a camp.
Yes.
I mean, usually, you have a club to do that, but this is just part and parcel.
What makes it great, though, what makes it even better is because of these things, you actually know your neighbors.
Right.
And so many communities now, no one even knows the person who lives next door to them. But in Lake Success, everybody knows each other. I mean, there's a good point, a bad point to that, but all the kids are friends. I mean, my son's best friends from 3 years old till through college are still his kids that are from Lake Success or that he grew up with. And the neighbors know each other. And there's something special about that where you can actually know your neighbor, have them over for dinner, and do things with them, and the kids do things together. So, it's part of the great part of it is all these different things we have, the amenities we have, create a close-knit community that everybody gets to know each other and do things together.
And you also do an annual barbecue, I think?
Well, it started out, Ron Cooper started it as classical music, let's say. We have a resident that had an intro for classical music or jazz, and it was just a jazz night. And I always said, and we would get an okay turnout, but it wasn't like a great turnout. And I said, you know, free food draws people.
Absolutely.
So we changed it to have a full barbecue for all our residents, and we have more of a modern type music. This year we're going to have a Grateful Dead cover band and an Allman Brothers cover band.
Oh, I want
Last year we had the Beatles and Billy Joel.
Wow.
And so it's free for our residents, and it's $5 for a guest or $10 for a guest, depending on their age. And we get close to 1,000 or 1,200 people there for it. So
that's phenomenal.
yeah, it turned out to be a very nice event. So
it's a nice bonding event.
yes, exactly. Yes.
Wonderful. So what does it mean for you to be mayor?
I think mayor brings responsibility to try to make things better for the residents. I think our goal, and we have a great trustee board. You know, we have 6 other guys that are trustees that work along with me, and they're all very responsible. They've all been doing it for a while now. My deputy mayor has been doing this for probably 30 years. I think somewhere around 30 years he's been on the board or more. And so we all have responsibilities, but our only goal is to make it better for our residents. You know, what can we do to make their lives better, be more responsive to their needs, and try to control their real estate taxes also, but try to make their lives better. That's why I got involved. I got involved to make things better. You know, and our goal as a board is to try to improve people's lives, and that's what I say every day when I go in, and I tell the board is that, you know, we should do what's right for our residents. That's always what we try to do.
Exactly. Lake Success straddles, I would say, from Northern Boulevard all the way into Marcus Avenue.
Right around here, yep.
Exactly. It's intersected by 2 major highways. How does that impact the ability for you to manage the area? I mean, do you find that it's more difficult?
Well, we have our own police force.
Right.
And our chief manages a lot of the traffic issues. I mean, we have traffic issues. Our biggest issue is trying to get, you know, everybody through our village in a good fashion, where everybody's not just, you know, complaining about what's going on here. How can we get, you know, I can't move anywhere. So, you know, we definitely work on traffic. We've worked with New York State to get the traffic patterns better through here. You know, they said you'll never get it done. Well, Patrick, myself, and the chief of police met with the New York State, DMV, and we got them to change some lights around to make the flow of traffic better. We have some other solutions that we've suggested that we're working on. And, you know, the goal is, you know, a lot of it is, can we get cars through this area without, you know, holding up our residents too much also. So a lot of what we try to do is to keep our streets safe and moving, and also to try to get better traffic flowing through here.
Right, because there's quite a bit of traffic with the hospitals, as well as the access onto both the expressway as well as the Northern State. And Lakeville Road runs right through it, and I know that's a single lane road in most places, actually, from Northern Boulevard to.
We work with Nassau County to time the lights better. If we feel something's off, we're always paying attention to how to get the traffic through, and the chief and I are on the phone a lot saying, hey, you know, I see this is slowed down, what's going on, maybe our lights are off, so we're always in touch. I think traffic, honestly, is in the mornings and the afternoons is a big issue. We have issues with, you know, now with Waze and GPSs for people cutting through our neighborhood. So we definitely do more policing and some patrolling for traffic to make sure that people are not you know, stopping at the stop signs, that they're not just running stop signs. So, I mean, we have recognized the problem. Our residents have said, you know, our streets are becoming a cut through, so we're trying to police that also. You know, Waze have caused a lot of troubles for neighborhoods that never used to be cut-throughs, that now people realize they can get into town through our neighborhood.
Absolutely. Though I think that most of your residential areas, there aren't any cut-through streets from like Northern Boulevard.
Oh, there are.
Well, I guess I haven't.
And I'm not going to say it on TV.
Exactly. So with all of these amenities from Lake Success, How are your taxes, and how is this latest reassessment impacting your area?
So, you know, we're lucky that we have a fairly large commercial base. So everybody pays general tax and the school taxes.
Right.
Our general taxes are a little low because we have our own police department. So we don't pay for Nassau County Police. We only pay for their central station, you know, for their booking and their detectives. So our general taxes are lower. Our village tax, you know, pays for our police, our public works, the pool. The golf course is self-sustaining. So the dues, that's a separate, you know, membership, and that's self-sustaining. So the taxes from the residents don't contribute to the golf course at all. But we're lucky is that we have a very big commercial base here.
Okay.
And then we have a tax system that sort of splits the load in two, basically. So the commercial side pays for half and the residents pay for half. And so our village taxes are fairly reasonable for what services you get.
Okay.
You know.
Now, I know that the village was incorporated in 1927, but a lot of the houses are new, I think, in your area.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that correct?
Yes.
So people came in and either knocked them down
Yes.
or built them more recently.
Yes.
I've heard that the newer houses actually have a better tax assessment than the older houses.
We have our own village. We have our own assessor.
Right.
Since we're our own taxing authority for the village tax. We have our own assessor.
Right.
And we're on a homestead, non-homestead. We have to be 100% of what we think is market value for everything.
Okay.
So we're constantly on top of looking at what home values are, the new ones versus the old ones. We have to do village-wide reassessments every 5 years. The New York State requires that. So I don't believe that's true for us. I think that our home values for what people have are fairly assessed on our level. I think Nassau County, you know, there has been a lot of uproar about their reassessment and how certain North Shore towns got hit harder than others, or maybe the North Shore got hit worse for the reassessment than South Shore homes. You know, ours, I checked them, were fairly fair because we have our own assessor, right. And I think Nassau could see what our numbers were relative. They could check our numbers to see what they would come up with, and I believe that ours are were pretty much spot on. I didn't get really any phone calls from people complaining about Nassau County's assessment. And we also let people, you know, they can come and there's a grievance night and they can come with their ammo and say, here's what my house is worth. You know, 3 houses right here sold for less than mine. I think mine should be less. And we have a grievance board of 2 residents, I think 1 trustee, and then our assessor, and they listen to their cases. And if they're right, we'll adjust their taxes for them. The bigger issue you have is on the commercial side with the hospital. Yeah. You know, because they're a nonprofit and have to deal with them and try to get, you know, to make that work. So.
But yet it's the #1 employer in New York State.
Yes,
so.
Yes, but we do provide services for them. So, I mean, we have a very good working relationship with the hospital.
So I have a question now that they've reopened the 6th precinct, okay? I know that while that was closed, a lot of villages in Great Neck were sad that they didn't have their own policing force. And but now the 6th precinct is open, and actually it is so close to you. Do you feel that that's going to be positive, negative?
I don't think. I think our residents love our police department.
Okay.
And I don't think that'll ever go away.
Okay.
And we've had other villages ask us if they could have our police department. You know, we have 22, I think, patrol officers and a sergeant. I mean, and a lieutenant and a chief. So we have 24 people. It's the streets are patrolled 24 hours a day. There's always 3 or 4 guys on patrol. If you have something wrong with you, they're there in minutes. Right. You know, and they've saved people's lives. We had a fire not that long ago where they got at the people out. They got there and got the people out of the house before the house exploded, basically. Wow. And so our residents feel whatever the excess cost, because if you looked at since our general taxes are lower, and if you compared the two, we don't pay that much more for our police department in total. And so I think if you asked our residents for an extra $500 or $700 a year, would you rather have your own police department? They say yes every time. So they're not going anywhere. It doesn't matter if 6 precincts open or closed. Our residents like our police force, and I think we're comfortable knowing that they're there for us 24 hours a day. Absolutely. I know that that's true of those that have a police force. Yes, yes.
However, in Nassau County, I know that you deal with the detectives there, and there's a shortage. How is that impacting your?
Well, I don't want to jinx us, but
Okay.
we really haven't had. I mean, there was a spat of robberies around Nassau County, you know, but we had one or two. We've been very lucky.
Yeah.
We had almost no robberies for 3 or 4 years, so thankfully, haven't seen the detectives very much.
Right.
So we had 2 recently, and I think it has stopped since. So maybe they've caught them.
I think they caught the
Right. Yes.
bandits.
Right. So I think that part of it is fine. And you know, once again, I think they know we may have our own police. I mean, we stress people putting their alarms on.
Yes.
You know, the most important thing is set your alarm, even if you're home, or you should keep it on at night. And when you leave it, even if it's during the day, you know, you should put your alarm on. We keep track of the robberies that we do have, and every one of them, their alarms are not on. They had alarms, and their alarms are not on. So,
Okay.
so we send letters out. Our police send, swift reach, phone calls saying, please, if you're out, put your alarm on. It's important. It's the best form of defense you can have. So, but thank God the detectives haven't really affected us very much. So
That's good. Your website is extremely interactive. The thing that I noticed is it's really friendly, because if I have a question, there's an answer there. And if I want to sign up for something, you just press a button. So tell me how this developed.
I don't know. I mean,
really?
It's so far out of. Look, one thing we have is a great village office. We have people that have been with us forever. We have Pat Farrell, who is a great administrator who knows a lot of people, and really I let them run that day-to-day stuff. My goal is, like I said, we look at the bigger picture as trustees. We have people working in the office. Hopefully they're good at what they do,
Right.
And hopefully they know how to do what they need to do. So I know we have a website, been there. I know who does it for us, but I don't know how. I know you can sign up for your golf there. You can sign up for the pool, and we're trying to go more paperless.
Right.
And so to
Okay.
me, that's the goal: is can we just do this thing where people can sign up online and go there and click on a button and pay for what their gym dues, their pool membership, or tennis, whatever they'd like. But Pat in the office handles all that stuff.
You have a gem there.
Exactly. You got to remember, we're all part-time trustees and mayors. I mean,
Right, right.
So you have to trust your office. But look, I get phone calls every day. We're on the phone together, Pat and I, because I have to go to work. But I know what's going on. But they handle a lot of that stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. So I know one of the things that has been affecting all the villages on Long Island is cell phone service, and the ability to go up to 5G, which I understand is really not in place yet.
No.
Can you talk a little bit about that? I know that it didn't start this year. It started way back.
Right. We were approached 3 years ago.
Okay.
And we've been working with them for 3 years to get to the point where we're trying to settle this out.
This is Extenet.
Extenet, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And they're the only provider, is that it?
Right now, they're the only provider.
Okay.
Nothing can stop another provider from coming in. The federal laws are sort of weighted towards the cell companies and the cell carriers. We're working through this. It's a process. We're trying to do what's best for the residents, and try to, get the best outcome we can. We're close, we feel, so we'll see where it goes. But it's a very difficult. Any village that's facing this is in a very difficult. It's an uphill battle and a very difficult position. The cards and the deck is sort of stacked against you on some of this stuff.
So I just want to step back so that the viewers understand, what this is. This cell node is not like one of those big hairbrushes that are going up.
No.
This is a smaller.
They're called macro cells. So
macro cells.
So
Thank you.
sorry, micro. Sorry, macro is a lot. Micro. So they're less than 50
cells.
feet. Less than 50 feet tall.
Less than 50 feet.
And
So,
they look like it could be a pole.
okay.
Could be a flagpole, just a pole with a little 2-foot can on top of it.
Okay.
You see them all around Syringtown Road, Shelter Rock Road, they're there. There's one on the corner of Shelter Rock and the Expressway.
Right.
And they just provide, you know, they work pass on. So if you have a series of them, they pass along your car or your whatever you're on to the next pole. And they're just low frequency, just little things on. And that's what it looks like. It's 35 to 50 feet. The max they can be is 50 feet.
So the objection that comes through is that this frequency can impact.
I can't comment on that.
Okay.
You know, that you're not allowed to object to health. You know,
Okay.
the federal government has said, the FCC, is that you can't block them for health reasons. You have some ability with aesthetics to control aesthetics. And that's basically it. You have aesthetics, you know, and you try to roll a local law that controls the aesthetics of them when they come into your village.
Okay. Well, good luck with that.
Well, thank you.
Know,
We're almost near the end, hopefully. So.
I know there are definitely, it's an issue facing all the villages.
Yes. I think we're the first ones to get to this point. You know, the other ones are just starting out. We've been through this process for a number of years. So.
Do you feel that that's because it's you're right by the expressway, or is it because you're one of the first villages in Nassau County?
You know, I think there was a need. Probably Verizon could prove a need, and if they can prove a need, you know, they just go to where they can prove needs. You know, and so. You know, it's just luck of the draw, I think. You know, it could have been somebody else first too.
That's true.
You know, so.
So what other issues, environmental issues, are you looking at under your administration? Are you also taxed with the noise pollution that occurs not from the LIE and Northern State, but perhaps from air traffic?
The air traffic, sort of, you know, we're lucky. You know, I get the emails and I see, you know, North Hempstead's battling, you know, because they changed the traffic patterns. But the planes don't really come over us, thankfully. They're coming over Brookville and through. They sort of miss us. So we're out of that battle.
Range?
Yes, yes. So we haven't been involved. They had asked us to be part of some lawsuit. I think they're going to go after the FAA, but we passed. We elected not to be part of it.
Okay.
So.
But what are your issues that you
well, obviously, you know, we have the plume. That's, you know, and that's an ongoing battle that we've been, you know, since I moved in, I've heard about that. So, and you know, I think the DEC, New York State DEC, has put a new, you know, they have some units in this area over here, and they have one at the Manhasset Lakeville Water District. So I think they're doing the best they can. You know, I mean, we have our own environmental consultant that we hire that checks the samples and the results that Lockheed Martin provides to us, and so we have our own expert who gives us what his opinions are of stuff, and you know, we have our own environmental commission that gets to read these reports and brings up topics to us. So I mean we try the best we can to at least monitor what's going on here at all times.
Yeah, that's been an issue for a while.
Yes, well, it's been going on. It's a moving target. It's
you know, really interesting. My mom used to work in this building, actually, and it's interesting how now Northwell is in here.
I know
and, I feel it's ironic.
I know, I do. But I can't say anything. I agree. But.
What do you see for your future? I know there's an upcoming election. Are you planning to run again?
I told my wife I'm going to run again in June, and that would be it. If I do 2 more years, I think that'd be 20 years of contributing towards the village. So it's funny, I wanted to get this in when I found a letter from my mother when I graduated college, and it was something like, congratulating graduating, you know, you have a job, but remember always to give back to society.
Right.
And, you know, and I feel 20 years might be enough of giving back to society, but we will see when I get there.
That's just the beginning.
Yeah, I know, I know.
This is your life.
I know. But I'd be 60-something years old at that point, and I think it might be enough.
That's young.
Yeah.
You know, it's the new 40.
We'll see where we'll go. We'll see what the next step is then, you know.
So you've been on the Board of Trustees for a number of years. What is your greatest accomplishment? Do you feel, I mean, that you're most proud of?
It's funny, running the golf course, we've made I ran that for 10 years. It was supposed to be a 2-year thing, and I did such a decent job that they kept me there for 10 years. And so changing that around, changing the perception of the golf course, that was a great thing to do with a great board we had doing that, helping me. But that was a great thing for me to change from what it was when I took it over to where I left. It was a complete turnaround.
So what was it when you came?
Well, I'm not going to say that because if Ron Cooper sees this, he'll be mad at me. But
okay.
it needed some work. But they'd been through some tough times and had done a big project. So I came in just at the end of that project and needed to definitely do some upgrades that we did. And the course is beautiful right now. We really have a beautiful golf course. But, I mean, just working with Northwell, working along because they're a big part of our village and what they contribute to us and what we need from them to make our village work is a big accomplishment to do that. To get them to work along with us for our needs also.
Okay.
And just working with the police department, it's good to work with good people. We have a great police chief, and he listens to me, and I listen to him of what his needs are, what I would want out of them, and some of the structural changes we made in the police department to make it more efficient is great. And I mean, look, even anything you do, as long as I feel we're helping and making it better for the residents, is an accomplishment. As a board, we just, like I said in the beginning, we try to just make it better for our residents. Everything we do is trying to say what makes it better. We have a beautiful gym we've upgraded. We have a brand new gym in our underneath where our village hall is. We have a restaurant, a grill room, and we have a clubhouse there. We made a beautiful gym and a card room for people. So our card room is used by our residents. The gym overlooks the lake. And it's fairly reasonable, very reasonable. It's $250 a year to join a gym. And now we're having yoga classes we're going to start and maybe some spin classes. So, and we have a brand new locker room with a brand new showers and facilities for down there. And those things are good accomplishments. Just anything I can do that I feel improves the life of a resident is considered an accomplishment. It's not one big thing. So.
Sounds like you'd never want to leave.
I don't want to leave Lake Success, but I may want to give up being mayor eventually. How's that?
So how is it difficult to find people to volunteer to help? And I mean, I know that some positions are paid, but I don't know if all positions are paid.
The only ones the trustees get paid $1,800 a year, and the mayor gets $3,600. So they all really are all volunteer positions because it works out to about a couple of cents an hour for the amount of time we put in.
Absolutely.
But we're lucky. We have still some people that like to give their time to the golf commission, to the park commission. We have each facility has a sub-board. So a trustee would be in charge of the golf course, let's say, but he has 10 or 11 people that are volunteers, residents, that are on his commission. And there's a trustee in charge of the park, and he has 10 or 11 people that are volunteers that help run the park. And so each trustee has a board he's in charge of, and then there's volunteers there. And we're lucky. We still have people that want to help us out and try to make it better.
Well,
it's good. It's very
the quality of life that comes with living in a village.
And I think people like to know they have a say of what they can do. It's not just the seven of us making a decision, that there are their peers that are not elected that are volunteering to try to make things better for them. So, and they can talk to them. Look, I tell people, and it's sad we don't get a lot of people showing up at our trustee meetings anymore. When I first started, we used to get
You're doing such a good job.
I don't think so all the time. But I tell people, if you have issues, come to the Board of Trustees. It's not a closed meeting. It's an open meeting where you can come down, get on the agenda, and voice your concerns of stuff, But I said, don't complain what we've done if you don't come down and listen to what we're doing.
Exactly. Exactly. But as I've heard from some residents, when you're doing a good job, you don't hear anything. When you're not doing such a good job.
We had 200 people or 100-something people at the Extranet meeting the other night. So, they show up when they have something to complain about or they're concerned about something.
Exactly. So. Well, thank you so much for coming on to the show. You're a wonderful guest, and I hope you'll come in the future.
I'll be back if you ask me.
Okay. That's all for now. Thank you for watching From the Source. Tune in next time for more in-depth interviews with members of your community.